I'm the undisputed king of slacking at my company. My workday trifecta: arrive late, take long, paid trips to the bathroom, and bullshit my way through every PowerPoint presentation. So when the wave of layoffs hit, it was no surprise that the sales director, Crawford, aka the Vulture, came me first, even sneering in front of everyone, "This company doesn't pay for loafers." I just smiled. What he didn't know was, the $50 million Vance Industries account, that was mine, landed over weekly games of golf with the CEO, Isabella Vance. The CEO of Apex Innovations. He was practically on his knees begging me to jump ship the day I got fired. The day after I left, the company imploded. Vance Industries terminated their contract. My old boss was begging me to come back. Isabella herself stormed their office. "Where's Leo Hayes?" I was sitting in the conference room of her biggest competitor, feet kicked up on the table, watching the chaos unfold on my phone. "Ms. Vance," I said to the screen, "if you want to see me now, you'll have to make an appointment." "Oh, and you can fire me, that's fine, but you have to do it in person. My name is Leo Hayes. I'm in sales, but I might be the least sales-wise salesman in the entire company. While others are out chasing clients, I'm in the break room brewing a fresh pot of coffee. While they're writing up daily reports, I'm hiding out in a bathroom stall, scrolling through my phone on company time. While they're in the morning huddle, I'm at my desk watching TikToks. And the best part, I still hit my numbers every single month. Infuriating, right? Today was Monday. I strolled in my usual 10 minutes late. The second I sat down, the office sycophant, Kevin Miller, scurried over to my desk, a fake smile plastered on his face. "Hey, Leo. Late again. Director Crawford was just looking for you." I yawned. "What for? Buy me lunch." Kevin's smile twitched. "Leo, that attitude, it's going to get you in trouble one of these days." I ignored him, pulling out my phone to continue my stream of comedy clips. Less than 5 minutes later, the office intercom crackled to life. "Leo Hayes, sales. Report to the director's office immediately." Every head in the office snapped in my direction, their eyes gleaming with schadenfreude. I slowly got to my feet, stretched leisurely, and ambled toward the lion's den. I pushed the door open. The Vulture, Director Crawford, was sitting there with a face like thunder. Standing next to him, looking smug, was the office tryhard, Chad Peterson. "Leo, do you know why I called you in here?" The Vulture asked, his voice cold. I shrugged. "To buy me that latte you promised." He slammed his hand on the desk. "Leo, what is this attitude? Does this company pay you to just screw around all day?" I blinked. "But, eat my quota." Crawford choked on his rage for a second, his face turning an even darker shade of red. "Quota? You have a nerve to bring up your quota? Look at Chad. He signed 3 deals last month. And you? Just 1. I laughed. "Chad's 3 deals combined aren't worth as much as my 1. Maybe you should run the numbers again." Chad's face went crimson. The Vulture was so stunned he was speechless. After a few seconds of tense silence, a cruel smirk spread across his face. "Fine, Leo. You think you're hot stuff, right? Well, I've got news for you. You're fired." I raised an eyebrow. "You're firing me?" He leaned back in his chair, triumphant. "The company is optimizing its structure, and slackers like you are the first to go." Chad quickly chimed in. "Exactly. Leo, you do nothing but goof off. You should have been gone ages ago." Kevin had somehow slipped in and was now hovering by the door, putting on a show of fake sympathy. "Leo, don't feel bad. I'm sure you'll find a job that's a better fit." I looked at the 3 of them and suddenly burst out laughing. "All right, you're firing me. Fine." I casually took my ID badge and tossed it on the desk. "Director Crawford, I hope you don't regret this." He scoffed. "Regret it? Getting rid of a parasite like you? I couldn't be happier." I nodded, turned, and walked out. Just before the door closed, I looked back and gave him a wide grin. By the way, that $50 million deal with Vance Industries, it was supposed to close next week. Now, I guess you guys are on your own. Without waiting for a reply, I left. Behind me, the Vulture's roar of fury erupted. "What? The Vance deal is yours. Leo, you get back here." I whistled a tune and pressed the elevator button. Regret, too late. The day after I left, the company didn't just have a meltdown. It went nuclear. I woke up around 9 on my phone vibrating off the nightstand. I glanced at it. The old work group chat had 99 plus notifications, nearly all of them tagging me. Kevin, sycophant at Leo Hayes, you there? Vance Industries just called and said they're putting the partnership on hold. Do you know what's going on? Chad, try hard Leo, did you pull some kind of stunt? I sneered and turned my phone off. Not my problem anymore. Meanwhile, back at the office, it was pure chaos. The CEO, Mr. Thompson, kicked open the sales department door, his face as dark as a thundercloud. Crawford, what the hell is going on with the Vance Industries contract? Their office just called to suspend all cooperation. Crawford shot up from his chair. What? That's impossible. Everything was fine yesterday. Thompson threw a file right at his head. See for yourself, a $50 million deal, gone just like that. Do you have any idea what this means? Half our projected revenue for the year was tied up in this project. Crawford fumbled with the papers, cold sweat beading on his forehead. Mr. Thompson, don't worry, I'll call them right now. Call them, Thompson bellowed. Their assistant said they'd deal with one person and one person only, Leo Hayes. Where is he? The office fell silent. All eyes turned to Crawford. His face was as white as a sheet, his lips trembling. Leo was let go yesterday. Let go. Thompson's eyes looked like they were about to pop out of his skull. Who authorized you to fire him? Huh? Crawford's knees buckled, and he nearly collapsed. Mr. Thompson, I thought he was just a slacker. A slacker? Thompson was shaking with rage. A slacker lands the Vance account. A slacker gets a personal request from Isabella Vance herself? Crawford was completely stunned. Isabella Vance, the CEO of Vance Industries? Thompson grabbed him by the collar. Go. Pull the security footage. I want to see exactly how Leo was slacking. 30 minutes later, in the security office. The screen clearly showed it. Every Wednesday afternoon, during Leo's slacking time, he wasn't goofing off at all. He was dressed in casual clothes, carrying a set of golf clubs, and getting into a black Maybach. And sitting in the car was the CEO of Vance Industries, Isabella Vance. Crawford slumped into a chair, his face ashen. Kevin gulped beside him and whispered, Maybe I should give Leo a call. Chad immediately whipped out his phone. I'll do it. Leo and I are good friends. Thompson just laughed a cold, bitter sound. You're good friends now. It's too late. A call was made to Vance Industries. Isabella's assistant picked up. Kevin put on his most charming voice. Hello, this is Kevin Miller from. We'd like to speak with Ms. Vance about our partnership. The assistant's tone was icy. Ms. Vance has made it clear. She only discusses the partnership with Mr. Hayes. Kevin grew desperate. But Leo has already left the company. Can't you just... The assistant cut him off. Then I suggest you wait until Mr. Hayes returns. Click. The line went dead. A deathly silence hung over the office. Thompson slowly turned his head to stare at Crawford, speaking one word at a time. You will go and get Leo Hayes back. Now, Crawford was on the verge of tears. But I already fired him. Thompson sneered. You fired him? Then you can get on your knees and beg him to come back. Meanwhile, I was lounging on my couch, casually munching on an apple. My phone rang again. I glanced at the screen. It was Kevin. I just smiled and hit decline. Beg me? Too late. I was sprawled on the couch, deep in a video game, when my phone started buzzing like a trapped hornet. A look at the screen showed the old work group chat was blowing up. Holy crap. Isabella Vance is here, at the office. She just stormed into Thompson's office. Leo, you gotta see this. I casually typed a question mark. A private message from Kevin instantly popped up. Leo, help us, Ms. Vance is demanding to see you. I scoffed and switched my phone to silent. So now I'm Leo. Where was that energy yesterday? Back at the office, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Isabella Vance, clicking across the floor in a pair of killer heels, walked straight into Mr. Thompson's office, flanked by two imposing bodyguards. She sat down on the sofa, crossed her long, elegant legs, and asked coldly, Where is Leo Hayes? Thompson, wiping sweat from his brow, offered a weak smile. Ms. Vance, what a surprise. If there's an issue, we can certainly. I asked you. Isabella cut him off. Where is Leo Hayes? Well, you see, Leo. Thompson stammered, his forehead glistening. Crawford was hiding by the doorway, his legs trembling. He nudged Kevin. You tell her. Kevin stepped forward, his head bowed. Ms. Vance Leo, he's no longer with the company. No longer with the company? Isabella let out a short, sharp laugh that sent a chill down everyone's spine. You fired him. Thompson immediately threw his director under the bus. It was Director Crawford's decision. I was completely unaware. Isabella stood up. At 5'9", plus heels, she had an intimidating presence that towered over everyone. She walked over to Crawford. You fired him. Crawford looked like he was about to faint. Ms. Vance, I thought he was. You thought he was a slacker? Isabella's laugh was pure ice. You moron. He holds the technology upgrade contract for Vance Industries for the next 3 years. It's worth over $100 million. The entire office went so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Thompson's face turned a sickly green. $100 million. Isabella turned to leave. Since Leo isn't here, the partnership is terminated. And by the way, she paused at the door, glancing back the ghost-white Crawford, your company is the most incompetent I have ever had the displeasure of dealing with. A dead silence filled the room. Chad stealthily pulled out his phone and deleted the Instagram story he'd posted yesterday captioned, finally got rid of the office deadweight. Kevin swallowed hard. Mr. Thompson, what do we do now? Thompson suddenly exploded, grabbing Crawford by the shirt collar. You, right now, you go and get Leo Hayes back. If you can't, don't bother coming back yourself. Crawford was in tears. But how am I supposed to do that? Beg, grovel, I don't care what you do. Thompson roared. $100 million. $100 million. And at that exact moment, I was leisurely soaking in a bubble bath. My phone rang again. It was Thompson. I answered and put it on speaker. Ah, Leo, my boy. Thompson's voice was sickeningly sweet. How have you been? I replied lazily, pretty good. Sleeping in every day. Right, well, he stammered. The thing is, we have a very important project at the company. Not my problem. I hung up. So satisfying. The phone rang again. This time it was Crawford. Leo. His voice was shaking. I was wrong. Who's Leo? I asked coldly. Sir. Mr. Hayes, my liege. Crawford was practically sobbing now. Please, I'm begging you come back, Ms. Vance said. Tell her, I interrupted, that I'm very busy right now. No time. I hung up and powered the phone off. Perfect. Suddenly, there was a knock on my apartment door. I wrapped a towel around my waist, went to open it, and froze. Isabella Vance was standing there, a smirk playing on her lips, busy taking a bath. I just stood there in the doorway, clutching my towel. Isabella's eyes raked over me, and the corner of her mouth ticked upward. Not bad. I quickly pulled the towel up higher. Ms. Vance, this is breaking and entering. She pushed past me into the apartment, her heels clicking sharply on the hardwood. I knocked. That was less of a knock and more of a police raid. I closed the door. Are you here to read my gas meter? Isabella settled onto my sofa and pulled a file from her designer bag, tossing it on the coffee table. Sign it. I glanced at it. It was an employment contract for Vance Industries. The position was senior vice president, and the salary had enough zeros to make my head spin. Whoa, that's generous. I whistled. Too bad. Too bad what? I casually pulled another contract from under the coffee table and slid it in front of her. First come, first served. Isabella flipped it open, and her expression changed instantly. Apex Innovations, Vice President of Sales. And a 20% higher starting salary than your offer, I said with a grin. Plus, I dragged out the word, enjoying the slight furrow in her brow. No clocking in. She let out a cold laugh. You think switching jobs is going to get you away from me? Away. I poured a glass of water. I'm moving up, loud and proud. She suddenly stood and closed the distance between us. Leo, do you know what I hate most? People who don't give you what you want. Smart boy. Her finger tapped lightly against my chest. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Apex Innovations. She turned and walked out, leaving me standing there, stunned. This woman was something else. The next morning at 8:50, I strolled into the Apex Innovations building. The receptionist's eyes went wide. Mr. Hayes, good morning. I gave her a wink. Morning. That lipstick shade is perfect on you. She blushed furiously. The elevator doors opened, and the CEO of Apex, Mark Jennings, was already there to greet me. Leo, you finally made it. The way he was acting, you'd think I was his long-lost rich uncle. Mark, no need to be so formal, I said, clapping him on the shoulder. I have to be, Mark said, rubbing his hands together. About Vance Industries. Relax, I said, heading for my new office. They're not going anywhere. I had been sitting for less than 5 minutes when my new assistant burst in, flustered. Mr. Hayes, Isabella Vance from Vance Industries is here. I glanced at my watch. She's punctual. Mark was a nervous wreck. What? What do we do? What's there to be nervous about? I kicked my feet up on the desk. Show her in. The office door opened, and in walked Isabella, heels clicking, 2 assistants trailing behind her. She was wearing a sleek black pantsuit that made her skin look almost luminous. Mark immediately rushed forward. Ms. Vance, what an honor. Isabella didn't even look at him. Her eyes were locked on me. It seems our new VP is settling in nicely. I took a sip of my coffee. It's fine. The coffee's better than at my old place. Her eyes narrowed. I'm here to talk business. Oh, I feigned ignorance. For that, you'll need an appointment. Behind her, one of her assistants gasped. They had probably never seen anyone talk to her like that. Leo, Isabella leaned forward, planting her hands on my desk. Don't play with fire. I looked up, meeting her gaze. It's working hours, Ms. Vance. Please call me Mr. Hayes. The air in the room turned to ice. Mark was in the corner, sweating so much he looked like he was about to melt. Suddenly, Isabella smiled, a dangerous smile that sent a shiver down my spine. Fine, Mr. Hayes. She straightened up. Tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock. The golf course. We'll talk about the contract. She turned and left, but paused at the door to add. We're something casual. Don't look so. Buttoned up. The moment the door closed, Mark collapsed onto the sofa. Oh my God. I took a slow sip of coffee. That was too much for you. Leo. Mark jumped up and grabbed my hands. You're a legend. I've never seen Isabella give anyone so much. So much what? He struggled for the word. So much. Attention. I just smiled. My phone buzzed. A text from my old CEO, Mr. Thompson. Leo, my boy, are you free tonight? I'd love to take you out to dinner. I ignored it. You want to buy me dinner now? Too late. Mr. Hayes, here are the files on the 3 potential clients we're trying to land today. My new assistant, Linda, handed me a folder. I flipped through it and laughed. Well, if it isn't my old boss's 3 cash cows. Mark Jennings hovered nearby, wringing his hands. Leo, these are tough nuts to crack. Tough nuts. I tossed the folder on the desk. I specialize in cracking tough nuts. 2 hours later, I was leading my team into the first client's building. As fate would have it, I ran into Kevin in the elevator. Leo. Kevin's eyes nearly popped out of his head. I adjusted my tie. It's Mr. Hayes now. The files he was holding slipped from his grasp and scattered across the floor. What are you doing here? Business, I said with a smile, pressing the button for our floor. What? You thought your company was the only one allowed to. Kevin's face turned green. The second the elevator doors opened, he bolted like a scared rabbit. 30 minutes later, I walked out with a signed contract, just in time to see Kevin in the hallway, frantically whispering into his phone. Mr. Thompson, it's bad. Leo Hayes just poached the Henderson account. I could hear Thompson's muffled roar from the other end. What? Stop him. Kevin looked like he was about to cry. I can't. I strolled by and clapped him on the shoulder. Tell Thompson that was just the first one. That afternoon, we ran into a little snag while closing the second deal. We had just sat down in the conference room when Crawford burst in with his team. Leo, what the hell do you think you're doing? I took a slow sip of tea. Director Crawford, you're going to scare the client with that volume. The client, Mr. Lee frowned. And you are? A former colleague, I said with a pleasant smile. He seems to be having trouble accepting the fact that I was fired. Crawford's face flushed. Mr. Lee, about the terms we discussed. Oh, I cut him off. You mean the terms where you get a 20% kickback? The room went silent. Mr. Lee shot to his feet. What kickback? Crawford panicked. Leo, you're lying. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Crawford's voice was perfectly clear. Lee's end is $2 million. We take $400,000. Mr. Lee slammed the contract on Crawford's face. Get out. Crawford tried to argue, but security was already there to escort him out. I straightened my suit. Mr. Lee, here at Apex, we don't play those kinds of games. 10 minutes later, the second contract was mine. At 7 p.m., I was in the middle of signing the third client when my phone rang. It was Isabella. I hear you've had a busy day, she said, her voice laced with amusement. Just tying up loose ends, I replied, checking my watch. Give me 30 minutes, and I'll have the trifecta. There was a short pause on her end. I'm waiting for you at the golf course. Can't make it today, Ms. Vance. I'll pay you more. She hung up. I chuckled and put my phone away, raising my glass to the client. Mr. Daniels, to our partnership. After signing the final deal, I walked out of the hotel and saw Kevin hiding behind Pillar. Mr. Hayes. He scurried over, rubbing his hands together. Can I have a word? I raised an eyebrow. What? Looking to jump ship. Kevin's eyes lit up. Could I come to Apex? I'll do anything. Oh, I took out my phone. First, tell me who was it that snitched on me to Crawford. The color drained from Kevin's face. Well, who sent that picture of me slacking off to the company group chat? Mr. Hayes, I was just. Who said I'd be fired sooner or later? Kevin's knees were shaking. I'm so sorry, Mr. Hayes. I put my phone away and patted his cheek. You know what I hate most? WH what? A brown noser. I turned to leave. By the way, send my regards to Crawford. I hear Thompson reamed him out pretty good. Under the bright lights of the driving range, Isabella sunk a perfect putt and turned to face me. You're half an hour late. I shrugged, had to let my old colleagues stew in their failure for a little longer. She walked closer, her light perfume wafting over. Had your fun. We're just getting started. I took the club she offered. You said you'd pay more. How much more? Isabella suddenly reached out and grabbed my tie. How much do you want? I looked down at her face, inches from mine. That depends on how serious you are, Miss Vance. Leo, she laughed. You hold a grudge even better than I thought. It's not a grudge, I said, swinging the club. The little white ball sailed through the air in a perfect arc. It's professional revenge. The real show is just beginning, Ms. Vance. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. I showed up at the golf course right on time. I could see Isabella in the distance, already warming up. Damn, she was wearing a white, form-fitting athletic outfit that showed off every curve. I let out a low whistle. Ms. Vance, are we here to play golf or for a fashion shoot? She turned, her skin glowing in the morning sun. You're 30 seconds late, Mr. Hayes. Traffic was a killer. I walked up to her, catching a whiff of her subtle perfume. What are you wearing? Smells like you're trying to knock me out. A small smile played on her lips. It's a special blend. Just for you. I'll have to be careful then. I took the club from the caddy. Don't cry when you lose. She raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. We'll see who's crying. First hole. Isabella's form was flawless. She drove the ball over 200 yards. She shot me a smug look. Your turn. I stood there, loose and casual, and took a lazy swing. The ball landed less than 15 feet from the pin. Isabella's eyes narrowed. Lucky shot. Yeah, I grinned. Total fluke. On the second hole, I intentionally shanked my shot, letting her take the lead. She walked over, poking a finger into my chest. Stop pretending. What are you talking about, Miss Vance? I said, all innocence. Last week when you played with me, you barely knew how to hold the club. She leaned in close to my ear. And now you're a pro? I could smell the shampoo in her hair. Maybe I'm a quick learner. Liar. She turned and walked away, her ponytail almost whipping me in the face. For the next few holes, I played inconsistently, always letting her stay one stroke ahead. She was getting more and more into it, her cheeks flushed with the excitement of winning, like a kid who'd just been given candy. By the ninth hole, I glanced at the scorecard. All right, Ms. Vance. Last hole. Let's make a bet. She wiped a bit of sweat from her brow. What kind of bet? If I win, Vance Industries gives all its contract for the next 3 years to Apex. She laughed coldly. And if you lose, I'm all yours. Deal. Her eyes lit up. If I win, you come back to work at Vance. Done. Isabella went first. She was on fire, landing her ball right on the green. She shot me a triumphant look. Beat that. I stretched my wrists and swung. The little white ball sailed in a perfect arc and dropped right into the hole. An eagle, I said with a smile to a stunned Isabella. Looks like I win. She stood there frozen for a solid 3 seconds, then threw her club on the ground. Leo, you've been playing me this whole time. Now, that's not true, I said, picking up her club. I just wasn't giving it all. Last week, and the week before, she fumed, stomping her foot. You couldn't even get out of a sand trap. I shrugged. How else was I supposed to slack off? Playing golf with you every day is exhausting, you know. She suddenly went quiet, staring at me intently. So you approached me on purpose? Not exactly. I stepped closer to her. It's just that you're too beautiful, Ms. Vance. I couldn't resist getting a closer look. Smooth talker. She turned to leave. I hurried after her. Hey, does the bet still count? She didn't look back. In your dreams. The great CEO of Vance Industries is going back on her word. She stopped so abruptly, I almost ran into her. She spun around. Our faces so close I could count her eyelashes. Leo, who are you really? Just a guy. Be serious. I dropped the playful act. I'm a guy who doesn't like being played for a fool. She studied my face for a long moment. Then a slow smile spread across hers. Fine. You get the contracts. She started walking toward the clubhouse. But on one condition. What's that? You play around with me every week. She glanced back at me. And no holding back. I jogged to catch up. Does that mean you'll have to wear this outfit every time? Get lost. She stomped on my foot, and I yelped in pain. Back at the office that afternoon, Mark Jennings almost had a heart attack when he heard I'd secured the Vance contracts. Leo, you're a god. I pushed him away playfully. Easy there. Just then, the front desk called up. Mr. Hayes, there's a Mr. Thompson here to see you. Says he's your former boss. I raised an eyebrow. Let him wait. Half an hour later, I sauntered into the guest conference room. Mr. Thompson jumped to his feet, his face plastered with a wide, fake smile. Leo, my boy. I held up a hand, cutting him off. Mr. Thompson, I'm a busy man. Get to the point. He wrung his hands. Look, the company was wrong to let you go. And he took a deep breath. I want to offer you the sales director position. Double your old salary. I laughed. Mr. Thompson, I'm a VP at Apex now. My salary is triple what it was. His face fell. Then, for times. Sorry, I said, standing up. No can do. He collapsed onto the sofa. Leo, the company is in serious trouble. Not my problem. I adjusted my suit. By the way, send my regards to Crawford. I hear he's been suspended pending an investigation. As I walked out, I pulled out my phone and texted Isabella. Won the game and the contracts. You really took a loss today. 3 seconds later, reply popped up. Dinner tonight. 8 o'clock. 3-star Michelin. You're buying. I smiled and typed back. Are you wearing the white outfit? Piss off. At 7:50 p.m. I was standing outside the Michelin star restaurant, adjusting my tie. Isabella texted to say she was running 10 minutes late. I knew she was doing it on purpose. I just sat down and ordered a whiskey when I heard a familiar voice from the private room next to mine. Mr. Wong, I really must toast to you. I frowned. That was Isabella's voice. I peeked through the partition. Sure enough, Isabella was surrounded by 3 greasy, middle-aged men who were pushing drinks on her. Ms. Vance can really hold her liquor. Another one, a bald man said, refilling her glass. Isabella's face was already flushed, but she was forcing herself to lift the glass. I didn't hesitate. I slid the door open and walked in. Well, isn't this a party? The room fell silent. When Isabella saw me, her eyes lit up for a split second before she put on a stern face. What are you doing here? I have a date, I said, pulling out a chair and sitting down. Imagine my surprise when she stood me up to drink with you fine gentlemen. The bald man looked displeased. And who is this? Leo Hayes, VP of Apex Innovations. I pour myself a glass of water. And you 3 are? Mr. Wong, Mr. Lee, and Mr. Zhao of Goldstone Holdings, Isabella introduced, giving me a look that screamed, don't cause a scene. I raised my glass. A pleasure, Ms. Vance and I had prior engagements, so I hope you don't mind if I steal her away. Mr. Wong's face darkened. Kid, do you know who we are? Funny you should ask, I said, pulling out my phone. We just closed a $300 million deal this morning. I flashed them a picture of the signed contract. The 3 men's faces went pale. Under the table, Isabella kicked me, but I could see the hint of a smile on her lips. Thinking back, she probably set this whole thing up. Well, one last drink for Ms. Vance, Mr. Wong said, not ready to give up. He poured a full glass of whiskey and pushed it toward her. I intercepted it. Ms. Vance is driving. I'll take this one for her. I downed in one go, the burns searing my throat. Impressive. Mr. Lee chimed in. In that case, this one is for. How about this? I interrupted. Let's play a game. For everyone I drink, the three of you drink one each. Let's see who's the last man standing. The three men exchanged glances. Isabella was trying so hard not to laugh her shoulders were shaking. 2 rounds later, I had down 6 glasses. The three of them, having had only 2 each, were already swaying. Mr. Wong mumbled something about the restroom and promptly face-planted on the sofa outside the room. Who's next? I asked, looking at the remaining 2. Mr. Lee waved his hands frantically. Some other time, some other time. After a waiter helped the drunks out, Isabella finally let out a laugh. You did that on purpose, didn't you? I rubbed my throbbing temples. Those creeps were clearly trying to get you drunk. I can handle myself, she retorted. But, thanks. I leaned in closer. Just a thanks? Her perfume, mixed with the scent of whiskey, was making me dizzy. Isabella suddenly reached out and touched my forehead. You're burning up. Are you drunk? Me? Never. I tried to stand up to prove my point, but my legs gave out, and I nearly fell in her lap. Floor's a little slippery. She rolled her eyes. Show off. She grabbed her purse. I'm taking you home. In the car, the streetlights cast shifting shadows on Isabella's face as she drove. I leaned my head against the cool glass of the window, the world spinning around me. Can't even hold your liquor, and you try to be a hero, she said with disgust. I mumbled with my eyes closed. Saving a damsel in distress is a man's duty. Who's a damsel? You are. I turned to look at her. Ms. Vance, you look especially beautiful tonight. Her hands twitched on the steering wheel, and the car swerved. Leo, you're drunk. I'm not drunk. I giggled. You can fire me, that's fine. But you have to do it in person. The car screeched to a halt, and I almost hit the windshield. We're here, she said, her voice a little shaky. I squinted. Where's here? This isn't my place. It's mine. Isabella unbuckled her seatbelt. You're in no condition to be left on the street. I grinned. Are you trying to take advantage of me, Miss Vance? Get out. She slammed her door, then came around to my side and pulled me out. Come on, you're heavy. Isabella's home was much cozier than I expected, nothing like the cold, modern aesthetic of her office. I collapsed onto her sofa and watched as she bustled around, making me a glass of honey water. Here. She pressed the glass into my hand. Drink this, sleep on the couch, and be gone by morning. I took the glass, my fingers brushing against hers, and I held on. Isabella. She froze. What? Your heart is beating really fast, I said, my thumb resting on her pulse point. She snatched her hand back as if she'd been zapped. You're talking nonsense. She fled toward her bedroom. Turn off the lights and go to sleep. In the darkness, I heard her pause at her bedroom door and mutter, damn it, that idiot is actually kind of handsome. I hugged a pillow, a wide grin spreading across my face. My head was already starting to clear. I was jolted awake by the vibration of my phone. The old work group chat was on fire with 99+ messages. Huge news. Director Crawford filed a formal complaint, accusing Leo of taking kickbacks. The company is launching an internal investigation. I heard they're sending a lawyer's letter. I sat up, rubbing my temples. A blanket was draped over me, and on the coffee table were a bottle of aspirin and a plate with a covered breakfast sandwich. A note from Isabella was tucked under the glass. Take the aspirin. Lock the door when you leave. As I was reading, my phone rang again. It was Mark Jennings. Leo, we have a huge problem. Crawford is spreading rumors all over the industry forums, saying you took kickbacks on all your old projects. I laughed coldly. Let him talk, but clients are starting to ask questions. Hold tight. After hanging up, I sent a text to Isabella. Crawford is trying to bite back. 3 seconds later, she replied, handled. Short and to the point. Classic Isabella. When I got to the office, the receptionist rushed over. Mr. Hayes, Ms. Vance from Vance Industries is here. She went straight to the main conference room. I strolled over, pushed open the door, and saw Isabella standing coldly in front of the projector. Mark was next to her, nodding and bowing like a bobblehead. Well, Ms. Vance. An early start. I leaned against the doorframe. She didn't even glance at me. Turn on the projector. The screen lit up with a detailed spreadsheet showing every transaction between Vance Industries and my old company. Every single dollar was accounted for. This is the complete financial record of every project Leo Hayes managed for the past 3 years, Isabella announced, her voice like ice. Someone said he was taking kickbacks. Mark shook his head vigorously. No, we have complete faith in Mr. Hayes. Only then did Isabella look at me. Mr. Hayes, someone is slandering your name. How do you plan to respond? I shrugged. I was thinking a social media post. 10 minutes later, I posted a photo on my LinkedIn profile with the caption, "Grateful for the growth opportunities of my previous company." The photo was of the quarterly bonus check Apex had just issued me. It had 7 figures. The comment section exploded. Kevin Miller, Leo, you're a legend. Chad Peterson, I always knew you had it in you, Mr. Hayes. My old HR manager, Leo, have you considered coming back? We can discuss compensation. But the best part was a comment from Mr. Thompson himself. Leo, my boy, this is all a big misunderstanding. Director Crawford has been suspended pending a full investigation. I took a screenshot and sent it to Isabella. Satisfied, she replied with a smiley face emoji. Not yet. At 3 o'clock that afternoon, a notification blew up the industry-wide forum. Vance Industries has officially terminated all existing contracts with old company name and has released the findings of an internal audit. The findings prove that Crawford was the one who had been taking kickbacks for years. The evidence was irrefutable. Moments later, Mr. Thompson posted a public statement on the forum. We have terminated Director Crawford's employment, effective immediately, and reserve the right to pursue legal action. As I was enjoying the show, Isabella called. Satisfied now to have the great Ms. Vance stand up for me. I'm deeply honored. There was a pause on the other end. Come to my place tonight. What? You're making me dinner. To pay me back. She hung up. I stared at my phone, completely bewildered. This woman, what was she up to? I stood outside Isabella's apartment, loaded down with groceries, ringing the doorbell. No answer. Just as I was about to call her, the door swung open. Isabella stood there in a casual sweatsuit, her hair tied up in a messy bun, a sheet mask on her face. Come in. I followed her inside and noticed the dining table was already set with a bottle of red wine and candles. What's this? Make dinner first, she said, peeling off the mask. I'm starving. In the kitchen, I chopped vegetables while sneaking glances at Isabella in the living room. She was curled up on the sofa, reading through some documents, looking surprisingly soft and approachable under the warm lamplight. Ms. Vance, I said, bringing out a dish, is this some kind of trap? She put down her files, scared that you'll poison me. She rolled her eyes and took her seat at the table. We ate the appetizers in silence before Isabella finally spoke. Leo, why did you really go to Apex? The money was better. The truth. I put down my fork because when Mark Jennings was trying to recruit me, he said something that caught my attention. What was that? He said. I mimicked Mark's enthusiastic tone. Leo, let's go build something huge. Let's steal every last contract from that Ice Queen CEO at Vance Industries. Isabella's eyes narrowed. And then I said, I took a sip of wine, deal. She suddenly stood up, walked around the table, and stopped right in front of me. Leo, I'm going to give you 2 options. Oh, first, Vice President of Vance Industries. Double your current salary. She leaned in, her hands on the arms of my chair. Second, I looked up at her. What's second? Isabella sat down squarely in my lap. The contract and me. I want both. My throat went dry. Ms. Vance, I'm pretty sure this is workplace harassment. Then sue me. And with that, she kissed me. The kiss was sweet, tasting of red wine and her unique perfume. My mind went blank, and my hands instinctively wrapped around her waist. When we finally broke apart, her ears were bright red, but she maintained her composure. So, which is it? Can I have both? Greedy. She kissed me again. Deal. The next morning, I was woken up by my phone ringing incessantly. It was Mark Jennings, and he sounded like he was having a panic attack. Leo, it's a disaster. You and Isabella Vance. You were photographed. In my arms, Isabella Stern frowned. I lowered my voice. What are you talking about? It's all over the internet. Pictures of you two on her balcony last night. Kissing. I gently slipped out of bed and walked to the balcony. Sure enough, a camera flash went off from the building across the street. Isabella followed me out, rubbing her eyes. What's wrong? I pushed her back inside. We've been spotted by the paparazzi. She was instantly awake. She grabbed my phone, glanced at the screen, and then she laughed. They got my good side. She dialed a number. Linda, buy the rights to those photos of me and Leo. Pick the best one and make it the new banner for the Vance Industries homepage. My jaw hit the floor. Isabella, you can't be serious. Why not? She hung up, grabbed my collar, and pulled me in for another kiss. He's my man. I'll announce it however I want. Monday morning, the Vance Industries corporate site was updated with a new banner, a photo of me and Isabella. She was holding my tie, a playful look in her eyes, while I looked completely stunned. The caption read, "Welcoming Leo Hayes, Senior Vice President." My phone immediately exploded. The old work group chat was scrolling faster than I could read. WTF? Leo really went to Vance. Senior VP. That photo. Are Leo and Ms. Vance? Kevin sent me a private message. Leo, my man, I just sent my resume to your new email. Put in a good word for me. I was enjoying the chaos when a voice message from Chad popped up in the group. I hit play. His voice was trembling with rage. How is this possible? I work until midnight every single day. I'm going bald from the stress. And that slacker Leo gets to be a VP. The group went silent. I slowly typed out a reply. Maybe, because I have more hair. Just then, Isabella called. Did you see the group chat? Watching the meltdown now, I said, spinning in my new, ridiculously comfortable office chair. Chad is about to have an aneurysm. I could hear her light laugh on the other end. Get down to my office. Time to sign your contract. The compensation package for the senior VP position at Vance was insane. I looked at the number on the paper and then back at Isabella. This salary, does it come with certain expectations? Isabella tossed a pen at me. Sign it or get out. I scribbled my signature with a flourish and then pulled her onto my lap. Ms. Vance, isn't an office romance bad for morale? Who said anything about a romance? She shot back, but then she nipped my neck. You're working late tonight. Doing what? Taking me to dinner. She stood up, smoothing out her skirt. 7 o'clock. Don't be late. The moment she left, Mark Jennings called. Leo, you can't just abandon us. Mark, it's just business. Healthy competition. I twirled the expensive pen in my fingers. Besides, aren't Apex and Vance strategic partners now? It's not the same, he wailed. What are we going to do without you? Simple, I laughed. Poach Chad. He's losing his hair, so you know he's a hard worker. At lunchtime, I deliberately went to the employee cafeteria. Everywhere I went, whispers followed. Is that the new VP, Leo Hayes? I heard Ms. Vance personally recruited him from Apex. Did you see that photo on the website? They look so good together. I just sat down with my tray when a few young women from the marketing department approached my table. Mr. Hayes, are you and Ms. Vance really? I took a bite of steak. Really what? You know, that. They asked, their faces turning red. Gossiping about your superiors during work hours. Isabella's voice suddenly came from behind me. Is a fireable offense. Or, at least, it'll cost you your bonus. The girls scattered like mice. Isabella sat down across from me, kicking my shin under the table. Having fun, I put a piece of salmon on her plate. Are you jealous, Ms. Vance? In your dreams, she said, but I saw her ears turn pink as she looked down at her food. On my way out that evening, I ran into Chad in the lobby. I have no idea how he got my new number, but he'd come all the way to the Vance building to confront me. Leo, he blocked the elevator doors. I need to ask you something. I held the door open button. Shoot, what did you do to her? His eyes were bloodshot. I worked 10 times harder than you. How is this fair? I shrugged, maybe because while I was slacking off, I was actually playing golf with Ms. Vance. Chad just stood there, stunned, as the elevator doors slowly closed. Through the closing gap, I saw him slowly sink to the floor and start pulling at his already thinning hair. At the annual industry summit, Isabella and I arrived together. I immediately spotted my old boss, Mr. Thompson, huddled in a corner whispering to someone while shooting glances in our direction. Looks like he's planning something, I murmured. Isabella tightened her grip on my arm. Scared. I'm scared you're going to lose control and kiss me in front of all these people. She pinched me, but her lips curved into a smile. Sure enough, when it was Thompson's turn to speak, the old fox started dropping hints. You know, some of these young people today, they don't want to put in the hard work. They're always looking for a shortcut, relying on special relationships to get ahead. The entire room turned to look at me. Isabella's fingers dug into my arm. We had someone like that at our company, he continued. Not much talent, but he certainly knew how to charm a female executive. Before he could finish, Isabella stood up. The room went dead silent. Mr. Thompson, her voice was arctic. Are you referring to Leo Hayes, the man who secured a $50 million deal with my company for you, only to be fired and called a loafer? Thompson's face changed. Ms. Vance, that's not what I meant. Or are you referring to the man who, after joining Apex Innovations, then secured a $300 million partnership with my company, nearly bankrupting yours in the process? A few titters broke out in the audience. Or are you referring to the man who is now the senior vice president of Vance Industries, with a salary triple that of your highest paid executive? Isabella pressed on, relentless. Mr. Thompson, he was outperforming you even when he was slacking off. Don't you think you're the one who needs to do some self-reflection? Thompson's face was the color of a ripe tomato. He managed to stammer, Ms. Vance, you're clearly letting your emotions cloud your judgment. Isabella suddenly smiled, a breathtakingly beautiful smile. You're right. I am. She turned to me. Leo, tell them. How much revenue did you generate for your former company last year? I rubbed my nose. Oh, nothing much. Just about 60% of their total annual earnings. A wave of gasps and murmurs swept through the room. Isabella drove the point home. Mr. Thompson, who did you say was getting ahead by relying on relationships? Thompson was speechless. He scurried off the stage in disgrace. After the session, reporters swarmed Isabella. Ms. Vance, are you and Mr. Hayes in a romantic relationship? She was about to answer when I wrapped an arm around her waist and pulled her close. Ms. Vance is a little shy, so I'll answer for her. Isabella shot me a look, but leaned into my embrace. The next day, the business section's front page was a video of Isabella's fiery defense of me at the summit. The entertainment section's front page was the photo of us in a close embrace. The headlines were wild. Ice Queen CEO melts for her man, the ultimate slacker success, story office romance done right. A message from Kevin popped up on my phone. Leo, there was a mass resignation at the old company today. I sent back a question mark. Chad let it, Kevin wrote. He said he's going to find a company that appreciates hard work and allows slacking. 12 after the board meeting. Isabella tossed a file onto my desk. Take a look. Your old company is about to go under. I flipped it open and chuckled. Looks like Thompson gambled away his retirement fund. Their stock has dropped 70%. The banks are calling in their loans. Isabella twirled a pen between her fingers. The board is recommending an acquisition. I closed the file. And you want me to be the new CEO? She raised an eyebrow. What? The position's not good enough for you. No, it's perfect. I leaned closer. I just really want to see the look on Crawford's face when he has to work for me. 3 days later, the acquisition was finalized. I walked into my old office building wearing a custom-tailored suit. The entire staff was lined up to greet me. Mr. Thompson stood at the front, his smile more pained than pleasant. Mr. Hayes, welcome back. I patted his shoulder. Mr. Thompson, you're fired. The entire office fell silent. Thompson's knees gave out, and he almost hit the floor. Mr. Hayes, Just kidding, I grinned. But the janitorial closet is empty. Interested. I heard Isabella cough softly behind me. I decided to be merciful. All right, everyone gets a 20% raise. Except, where's Director Crawford? The HR manager scurried over. He was let go last month. I nodded and pulled out my phone. Let me show you all something. The large screen in the office suddenly lit up with a video. It was Crawford, wearing a cheap, ill-fitting suit, speaking to a camera. My name is David Crawford. I'm seeking a position as a junior sales associate. Salary is negotiable. The employees were trying so hard not to laugh their faces were turning red. I slapped my forehead in mock frustration. Oops, wrong file. That was from my personal collection of motivational videos. Isabella pinched my side. That's enough. I turned and kissed her. Yes, ma'am. At the celebration dinner that night, Kevin came over with a glass of champagne. Mister, Hayes, a toast to you. I swirl my drink. I hear you've been working hard lately. Absolutely. Kevin puffed out his chest. First one in, last one out every single day. Good, I nodded. Starting tomorrow, you're taking over Thompson's old position. Kevin's glass clattered to the floor. Oh, really? Why would I lie? I put my arm around Isabella. Ms. Vance and I are going on vacation starting tomorrow. The company is in your hands. Isabella's eyes went wide. When did I agree to a vacation? I leaned in and whispered in her ear the Maldives. A private villa for two. If you say no, I'm hiring Crawford back as your new co-VP. She stomped on my foot, hard, but then turned to her assistant. Book the tickets. 13 on a white sand beach in the Maldives. I got down on one knee and held out a ring. Isabella Vance, will you marry me? Isabella looked from the ring to my face. Did you look at my browser history? What? This ring. It was in my online shopping cart. I grinned. Great minds think alike. She held out her left hand. Put on. It's acceptable. 6 months later, our wedding was the biggest event in the business world. Everyone from my old company got an invitation, even Crawford. On the big day, Kevin, now the acting CEO, arrived early with the entire staff, each holding a gift. Mr. Hayes, congratulations, Kevin said with a fawning smile, handing me a box. I always knew you were destined for greatness. I opened it. It was a crystal paperweight engraved with the words, Industry Legend. Chad, his hair now noticeably thinner, came over. Mr. Hayes, congratulations to you and Ms. Vance. What happened to your hair? I couldn't help but ask. Over time, he lamented, the new projects since you left. They're brutal. Mr. Thompson was hiding in a corner, trying to be invisible. I made a point of walking over to him. Mr. Thompson, long time no see. He forced a smile that was more of a grimace. Mr. Hayes, I was a fool. It's all in the past, I said, handing him a glass of champagne. No business today. Isabella walked toward me in her wedding dress, and she was so beautiful it took my breath away. The MC handed me a microphone. A few words from the groom. I raised my glass and looked around the room. First, thank you all for coming to celebrate with me and Isabella. The room applauded. Second, I looked over at the table with my former colleagues. I especially want to thank Mr. Thompson for firing me. If he hadn't, I never would have been able to marry Ms. Vance. The whole room roared with laughter. Thompson looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. Isabella pinched me and took the microphone. And I'd like to thank Director Crawford for letting Leo go. Otherwise, Vance Industries would have missed out on such an outstanding vice president. Crawford, who was at the next table, stuffing his face with lobster, nearly choked. Halfway through dinner, an assistant rushed over. Mr. Hayes, Mark Jennings from Apex Innovations sent a gift. I opened the box. Inside was a solid gold key with a card that read, the door to Apex is always open for you. Your jilted ex, Mark. Isabella snorted. He can keep dreaming. I wrapped my arm around her waist. Don't worry, I'm a Vance man for life now. As fireworks lit up the night sky, I looked at the smiling woman in my arms and thought back to that morning a year ago when I was fired. Crawford had said, this company doesn't pay for loafers. Looking back, he was right, because the loafer ends up running the company, and the slacker gets the last laugh. The end.